All right, what I'd like to do here is start with kind of the triangle offense or trio structure, no huddle, which is based off of the Penn State HBAC offense. Again, we'll talk about the evolution, why, what, and how, some principles, goals, the read structure, some defensive recognition, and then some teaching progression and practice plans, and finish up with our offensive personnel alignments and communication. This is just an overview, and then additional PowerPoints we'll get into more detail. Again, the yellow boxes on all of the slides through are kind of telling you teaching points and coaching points for details. So the evolution, it was about, number one goal here is to evolve quality concepts that we've learned and try to simplify those, or what we call evolve simplicity. So why? First off, we were fortunate enough to learn from Penn State's offense in 2016 and 2017 when Joe Moorhead was the offensive coordinator. So a lot of these are from that version. It's simple and it's sound. It adapts easily to the high school level. And then it allowed us to keep old core concepts, which are, you'll see, are our power, one back power, our sweep, and our blast, but also combine it with split zone veer. What we're doing here then is using HBAC offensive sets, which shows our Penn State alignments and some basic terminology there. The new piece is split veer, where we're using Penn State's split zone concepts, but combine it with some veer concepts to help simplify for the high school level. And then there's a blitz beater focus on this. This helps us be sound, but keep things simple to create explosive plays when teams blitz, which they're going to do. Last thing, how we do this, and this is probably the most important, is the way you teach things is essential for efficiency in the learning process. And we use what's called a chunking of concepts, plays and cues, where you're simply going to scaffold upon initial foundational concepts to get more complex. The neat thing here is we really use only 2 blocking schemes, and that's why we've been able to take something very complex from a Division I national power program and simplify it down to 9th grade level high school football. The goals here when we start to talk about the offense is these 3, and this will come up over and over. These are simple old triple option rules, but we're going to look for a numbers advantage. We never want to run into a numbers disadvantage, whether it's the front or a side. Number 2 then is we want to try to create blocking angles for our linemen, and also look for best edges, because we like to go ahead and stretch and get speed outside, and that gets to the last part of the field. If we can get numbers to the field or speed in space, then that's going to win over scheme every time. Goals then are to run the football with every time, eliminate turnovers, but still create big plays. The read system, which we'll get into detail here though, is it goes through where the coach signals the formation. The linemen get all verbal cues, don't need to look to the sideline. The skills people are using all hand signals, don't need a verbal cue. Once everybody's aligned, they do a defensive recognition, what's called a look and see. Then the coach can call the play, which he's doing the same thing, same process as the quarterback. Then once that's done, the play's signaled, now you can go ahead and call the play. And then this gets into the ways with the RPO system. We can read every defender on every level, staying with the same principle of reading their depth and their hips. So this is just a visual of the defensive recognition. This is formation, typical one-back, H-back formation. You can see the defenders in the box. We have names for all the defenders so that we can designate who we're keying on. The other thing we do here is we're looking for access or no access, meaning we're going to look at these outside linebackers or hanging backers. In this case, the Sam and the Will, which we call Mr. Zeros. And if they are outside the box, then we do not have access to throw the football. If they're inside the box, then we have access to throw the football. This here then goes into a typical Penn State practice plan. This is actually one of theirs that they have. You can see the different phases, but we'll talk about this through the system of how we do this. First thing we want to do then is phase one is our team tempo, where we get into position fundamentals, and we'll talk about some basic drills there. Again, as Joe Moorhead talks about, quote, practice philosophy, play to attack opposing defenses and dictate the tempo. That's the goals here. So our phase one, our team tempo, we do this every day for 5 minutes, is we're going to come out and line up all of our linemen here, and our centers are going to get snaps along with our H-backs, and we're going to simply work on getting off the football, taking some correct steps, and fitting and blocking. We'll do this for only 2 minutes, where the quarterbacks will get the snaps, so we get some snaps every day to start. After those 2 minutes, then they'll go over with the running backs, and that gives them 3 minutes of doing what we call play strip, just simply working on the timing and the steps of their run plays there. So this is a great startup where we can do position fundamentals, getting team tempo, getting off the ball, doing cadence and starts with our center and our quarterbacks, and also getting shotgun snaps, which are imperative with the spread offense. This is our formations and alignments. This is Penn State terminology. Duo means we're basically in a double type slot formation. The H-back is going to go ahead and go away from the call, so our Z and A are always toward. We do alignment on the numbers in the hash instead of doing yard splits, and the X will be on the other side of the numbers. The H on duo, then, what that tells him is he's actually going to be deep and off the ball, and you can see a line right on the outside hip of our left tackle. If we go to trio, now we simply go to a trips formation. The only person that moves is our H-back. So we've been in a duo, and now we'll go to our trio, which is simply 3 fingers or the OK sign is what they see. Now the H-back is going to just go towards the call versus away. He'll still do this deep alignment. So duo and trio tells him he's going to be off the ball and over the offensive tackle. When we go into ace, which is 1 finger, this is the complement to duo. We're still going to be, now it's 1 back, we're in a 2x2 set. Now the H is going to go away from the call, just like duo, it's paired with that. But now he's going to be tight and wide. This is as close as we can get to the line of scrimmage to imitate as if he was a traditional tight end. Real simple then, when we want to go trips, again, now we're going to do the 3 fingers up, pinky, pointer, and thumb. Again, this goes with trio. It's going to be a 3x1, but he's going to be tight and wide. Next then is to get into an empty set, then we just call this quads. Again, we're going to do the backhand with 4 fingers. This is the same as doing our ace call, but it tells the back he's going to go towards the call so that we get into an empty set. If we go quattro, which is simply 4 fingers down, that is the complement to our duo set, meaning now it's simply going to put the H-back off the ball and over the tight end. If we want to go to empty set or no back set, but we want to get in our 3x1 formations, then we simply go to 5s, which is all 5. Now that tells the H-back, just like trio and trips, he's going to go towards the call. The back would go away, split the difference. Again, 5s tells us that the H-back is going to be in his tight and wide alignment like trips. If we go hand down, that becomes cinco. So our Spanish terms turn that into an over and off type alignment. If we do want to get into, we don't use this as often, a 3x1 with a traditional tight end, that is our tray formation. And again, now we're going to have our 3 fingers, our thumb, our pointer, and middle finger. This signals now that the H is going to be a traditional Y on the line of scrimmage. The person that moves over is our X, comes all the way over to the numbers. Our A stays on the hash, and the Z splits the difference. So it's a wide trips formation there, or tray. Y designates we're going to have a wide receiver. If we want to get into a full backfield, which we just use the H-back here, we simply go to our full, which is going to be a fist, and Again, then we'll shift. We'll initially line up in our 2x2 duo or ace formation, but then we'll shift into our backfield sets into a 2-back. You can see here, one of the things we do pre-snap too is the B-back, whether it's 1-back or 2-back, always aligns in a pistol and doesn't shift until the play is called to their side. If we want to get into a wing teak look, which a lot of our principles are based off of some wing teak concepts, then we simply go to what we call our zebra, or just call it right and left. Now it's the hand is vertical, okay? With this, now the H lines up in the backfield as a full traditional fullback. The quarterback's going to go under center. The B again will shift once the play is called, and you can see now the Z is going to come in all the way tight. This is where we can do a zebra personnel and replace that wide receiver with a tight end. So if we give a right or left formation call, it also designates zebra, which is a personnel cue to change people. For offensive communication to do everything in the offense, we have that saying that nothing means something. So if we don't, we teach it so that if nothing is said, this is our norm. With cadence, real simple here, then when we want to go, we don't say anything, we're going on the first go, and we're going to use our regular cadence. So we're going to do a couple cue points with communication on no huddle. If we have a rapid clap, that means he wants everybody to get set and get ready to go. We want to speed things up, or a sonic tempo. Once we get into our clap, we combine the Ohio State piece. So quarterback is going to go with cadence here is down to get everybody set. But once we start our cadence, he's going to give the long clap, which gives us a visual for everybody out on the perimeter, and the clap, sound cue and audio for the lineman up front. And then we go simply into ready, we pause, set, go. So our cadence would be down, ready, set, go, and we're off. If we don't say anything, it's on 1. You can play the video and see the different things. We can use what's called a double cadence or a freeze, where we start the cadence and freeze the defense, and then we come over and get the play. We just use any cold land, so like Iceland. So we would say Iceland, Iceland. Now we're going to go ready, down, and we just say freeze, and we're off. The second one then is a short, or what we call pistol. Remember, the back is starting in pistol, and if we want to go ahead and snap the ball and run the play out of that, then we simply use the term Sunday or Saturday, means short pistol, and we're going to go ahead and go ready, go, and snap the ball. Last one then is a long, or we're going to go on a second set of it, and now we start with any weekday, but we use Tuesday typically, means we're going on 2, word association. Again, we're going to go down, ready, set, go, down, ready, set, go, and we're off. Signal there is a double-handed peace sign. Just to give you an idea with the stacking system here now, is we can do lots of different tempos, lots of different pieces for clock management. If you're someone that's not comfortable with completely no huddle and you want to do some form of a formation, you can do what's called a bunch. We simply bunch up loosely, and you still use our off no huddle terminology. You can also use what's been popular at Auburn with Malzahn, where they go ahead and starburst out it and get line quick and snap the ball. Our regular one is just our regular freeze or long cadence. You can go in what we call a supersonic or short cadence, which we like to use with our RPOs, because we with an RPO, you're going to be good with whatever the defense gives you. So you don't need as much time to recognize the defense. We do what's called our go-go tempo, which simply means traveling sign, and then that means we're going to run the exact same play formation we did the previous play. And last one then is what we call our 911 or NASCAR. This is our 911 being emergency, so we use for our 2-minute offense, but we can also do what's called a NASCAR we learned from Coach O'Brien when we was here at Penn State, now with the Texans, of a way to use one word, one signal for everything in the play. So here's some examples of that to show you some of those. There's your loose huddle, and then if we want to burst, we just come out. Your no huddle and look and see is we want to point here to tell them to look at the defense. If we want to give an alert or a potential pressure, then that's both pointers. When we get into faster, we want to go faster with the go-go. That's a traveling signal and repeat the play. NASCAR then is the triangle, and that tells us one word, tells us everything. And go enter 911. These are just the last part here now. You can do some quizzes we like to do with the players after we've gone through if you use this as part of your playbook process. But we should know what the principles are. We should know what our goals are as an offense. What are the look and see steps for your position? What does alert mean? What does freeze, go, 911, and bunch? If you understand these terms and these principles, then you got a great foundation on how to do no huddle very easily, but also very successfully. Good luck.